Counting calories sucks. Seriously, it flat out sucks. It's time consuming, exhausting, and simply unsustainable over the long run. Unless you want to live the rest of your life obsessively weighing out every last one of your meals on the scale. And if you never learn a better way to transition off of constantly having to count calories and macros, you'll be limiting your productivity, your freedom, and even the amount of fun you can have at a life. While it is true that you can learn a lot of basics and lose some weight just by counting calories, it'll typically only provide you a short-term solution because very few people actually want to do the math forever. And once you stop doing the math, you'll usually regain the weight. On top of that, your math is probably not so accurate because most people overestimate the amount of calories they need per day, as well as the amount that they burn through exercise. So if you're the type of person that enjoys showing up to your family parties with your meal prep container in one hand and a gallon of water in the other, or you love asking waiters how many calories are in your salad, or if nothing excites you more than logging every last thing you eat into your favorite calorie tracking app on your phone, then this video may not be for you. But if you never want to be a slave to a restrictive calorie counting diet again, I think you'll get a lot out of these 5 alternatives that'll help you burn fat and lose weight without losing your mind in the process. And the first method is one of the simplest if you're looking for a way to still control your portions without counting calories. It's known as the plate method, and to set it up, all you really need is a plate and your imagination. I want you to imagine drawing a line through the plate so that the plate is cut into 2 halves. Then on the left half, draw another line to divide it once again in half. So now on the right side, you should have a bigger space, and you're gonna fill that bigger space with non-starchy vegetables. This includes things like mushrooms, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and asparagus, as well as many other options. Then on the left, in one of the smaller halves, you're gonna add your protein source, which could be something like chicken breast, turkey, fish, or eggs. And in the other half, you'll add your carbohydrates, which will include grains like brown rice, or starchy vegetables like potatoes. Now, this isn't the only way to divide up your plate. If you're on the keto diet, for example, you can easily swap out the grains and the starchy vegetables for healthy sources of fat. But if your goal is to lose weight, you definitely want to make sure that half of every one of your plates is filled with vegetables. By sticking to this strategy for every one of your meals that you eat throughout the day, you'll be almost guaranteed to lose weight without having to track your calories. Now, with the next method, you won't really need any measuring cups, measuring spoons, scales, or even a plate. All you need are your hands. You'll use your hands to measure how much of each of the 3 macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, you should be having in each meal. Your hands are so great for measuring portion sizes because the size of your hands will usually correlate with the size of your body. If you're a 100-pound woman, you're probably gonna have smaller hands than a 200-pound man. So if you're eating an average of 3 meals per day, you'll want to have about 1.5 to 2 palms of protein per meal if you're a man, and 1 to 1.5 palms if you're a woman. The palm of protein should literally be the size of your hands in length, width, and thickness without including your fingers. Now, don't go crazy over the exact amount. You just want to take a half a second to quickly estimate and eye it out. With each meal, you'll also want to eat about 1 to 2 fists of veggies. And for carbs, if you're a man, you'll want to have about 2 to 3 fists of carbs per day, depending on how much you work out. And if you're a woman, you'll want to shoot for 1 to 2 fists of carbs per day. Finally, for fats, if you're a man, you'll be able to have about 2 thumbs of fat like butter, nuts, or avocado with each meal. And women can have about 1 thumb. Now guys, don't forget that this is just one way to use your hands to measure. If you don't like to have that many carbs and you want to have more fats, you can easily switch some things around to accommodate that. Also, if you don't want to have 3 meals per day, you can easily add up your daily total portion sizes, then divide them by the number of meals that you want to have per day. So this is one pretty simple method that you can use to start burning fat today without counting calories, but it still does involve portioning. Our second method is far easier and doesn't require much portion control at all. It's the natural single ingredient foods method. To do this, you would stick to only eating foods with 1 ingredient. Obviously, whatever you ultimately make can have multiple single ingredient foods within 1 meal. For example, you can combine chicken breast with brown rice, some broccoli, and garlic, and that would all still be considered acceptable because everything that goes into the meal itself is only made up of 1 natural whole ingredient. The reason why this method works so much better than tracking your calories is because not all calories are created equally. Now, when I say that, most people assume that I'm saying that you should prioritize protein and watch your carbs, but it goes much further than that. For example, if you drank a glass of orange juice and you ate an orange, your body would spend significantly more energy digesting the orange in its whole natural state rather than the glass of processed orange juice. You can clearly see this playing out in a study where researchers compared people eating a processed sandwich to a minimally processed sandwich. And even though calories and macros were equally matched, the minimally processed sandwich took twice as much energy to digest. This is huge. It literally means that you can have 2 minimally processed sandwiches and net the same amount of calories as the one heavily processed one. Now, the other major reason why this works without tracking calories is because single ingredient foods are not calorically dense, and they're so filling for the small amount of calories that they do provide. It's very difficult to overeat things like chicken breast, broccoli, or baked potatoes in their natural whole state. So on its own, without even tracking, this is an effective solution for long-term sustainable fat loss and weight maintenance. The only problem is that most people won't want to stick to only eating wholesome, unprocessed food all the time. And we all want the freedom to be able to incorporate snacks and even some junk food into our diets. So the next trick will help you out with that quite a bit. When you get a craving for some junk food like ice cream or Doritos, restricting it will only make you think about it more. It's like trying to not imagine a purple elephant. Of course, it's not going to work. So instead of counting calories and instead of never allowing yourself to have ice cream again, when you get the craving for ice cream, tell yourself that you'll eat the ice cream, but only after eating an unprocessed meal that's high in protein, vegetables, fibrous carbohydrates, and healthy fats. Then you can have the ice cream. Now, this does much more than you may think. You see, when you get hungry, it's not just the physical feeling of a rumbling stomach that you have to deal with. It's also a hungry mind that you have to deal with. And your mind will be full of all the wrong suggestions like ice cream and Doritos because they're so easy to quickly get to and they're so calorically dense. You can tell yourself no, but the problem is that if you always restrict yourself, it'll just be a matter of time before you binge. So by having a wholesome, unprocessed meal with the promise of the ice cream afterwards, you'll in a way trick your mind into eating the healthy meal, and once you're done with that meal, the physical feeling of hunger will subside, which will quiet down your hungry mind significantly. You either won't want the junk food anymore because you'll already be full, or you're only going to be able to eat a small amount of it before you are full. So if you don't want to track your calories, you don't want to give up all your favorite foods, and you still want to be burning fat in the process, you have to make sure that you always satisfy your hungry stomach and your hungry body first before satisfying your hungry mind. Let's move on to the final trick that you can employ literally today. You can start incorporating fasting. Since you obviously won't be eating while fasting, it'll give you the ability to have larger, more filling meals when you do actually eat. Now, this doesn't mean that you're immune to the laws of thermodynamics. You can still overeat even if you're intermittently fasting. However, the longer the fasting length and the shorter the eating window, the less chance you'll have at overeating even when you're not tracking calories. So it's much easier to avoid overeating with an OMAD protocol where you would only have one meal a day rather than a 16-8 protocol where you would have a much longer eating window lasting 8 hours. The warrior diet can also help you lose weight without tracking calories because you'll only have a 4-hour feeding window. Just keep in mind, even though it's unlikely that you'll overeat for the day within 4 hours, there's still always that possibility. So don't be reckless and still make sure you're incorporating the other tips we just went over, like eating single ingredient foods and satisfying your hungry stomach before your hungry mind. With fasting, you can also just throw in a 24-hour fast after a day of heavy eating to help balance out your energy intake over 2 days. This can be done strategically when needed, for example, around the holidays, or you can do it as a routine by following an alternate day fasting protocol where you would fast every other day. Studies show that alternate day fasting without counting calories can produce just as much fat loss as continuous calorie restricted diets, and they also show that alternate day fasting may be easier for certain people to stick to over time. So those are the 5 main ways to strategically lose weight without counting calories. You can incorporate one or a couple of these methods right away to start seeing results this week. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Also, Just want to throw out there that we currently have a special on a couple programs, and unlike many of the other fat loss programs out there, we're not just going to teach you how to calculate your macros and how to track your calories. You can get that for free simply by using my macro calculator that's linked up below. Instead, when you enter into one of our programs, we're going to give you a simplified approach that a 9-year-old can do because it doesn't require any calorie counting at all. The meal plans are also customizable based on your weight, gender, and diet preferences. You can literally choose from intermittent fasting, keto, vegan, carb cycling, and 1 meal a day, just to name a few options. On top of that, you'll also get a recipe book, a 42-day fat-burning workout plan with a full video exercise library, and an accountability coach that'll be assigned to guide you through the entire process. To find out more, you can click the link below in the description, or you can visit my website directly at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon.